How was your board meeting?
It was good, but but I sent you a text eventually. Something a little closer to
Welcome to Voices of Diversity at our local library. A special thank you to Director Paul Engel for supporting the art of poetry and giving us this space. Under the guidance of Director Paul Engel and Brockton Poet Laureate Philippa Soares, Voices of Diversity, Voices of America is enjoying its 6th year of highlighting the languages and cultures of our community. Over the 6 years, Voices has featured over 35 languages and dialects, including sign language, schizophrenic, the elder community, our youth, LGBTQ+ community, Shakespearean, and today we add Russian and Turkish to our sport languages. This is the story of many of us here today. How we separately found our way here like threads weaving a tapestry of our language, customs, and beliefs. This afternoon is a celebration of reawakening to connect with our heritage, our grandparents, fathers, and mothers' languages. I think it's ironic that it's also El Dia de los Muertos. We hope to honor them and with you this afternoon as we rejoice in our diversity and culture, proclaim our ethnicity, and affirm being American. I'm Hope Fernandez, educator, educational administrator, more importantly, poet. Today, I am your Queen of Ceremonies, and our order of events will be Russian, Spanish, Greek, Haitian Creole, Turkish, West African, drums, Cape Verdean, Cantonese, youth, elder, and French. And first, I'd like to introduce you to our Russian poet, Amy Woodward. Amy Woodward is a former attorney, former educator, lifelong gardener, mother, friend. Welcome, Amy.
When Hope told me about this event, I was excited because I love to hear how poetry still is the unique music of every language and expresses the soul of the culture that produced it. Now, Russian is not my language or my culture. It's a language I was fluent in 50 years ago, so I hope nobody here understands it. I'll be embarrassed to be heard to butcher it. But the unique Russian, music of Russian is definitely consonant rich, which I will do my best with. And the soul is wintry. When Pasternak finally published his long-suppressed novel, Dr. Zhivago, it included a number of poems that were supposedly the work of the protagonist, the poet, Dr. Zhivago. And this one is called Winter Night. And it's set in the month of February. We're told that there's a blizzard that lasted the entire month of February. And you can hear the blizzard blowing through this poem, if I do it justice. And the repeated line, Svicha Gariela na stoliye, Svicha Gariela, a candle was burning on the table, a candle was burning. And so picture a little wooden hut, deep, deep snow and howling winds. Мело, мело, по всей земле, во всей пределе, свеча горела на столе, свеча горела. Как летом роем машкара летит на пламя, светались хлопья со двора, как полная рамне. Меча лепила на стекле, кружки и стрелы, свеча горела на столе, свеча горела. На озаренный потолок ложилась тень, скрещение рук, скрещение ног, судьбы скрещения. И падали два башмачка со стуком на пол, и воск слезами с ночника на платье капал. И все терялось в снежной мгле, седой и белой, свеча горела на столе, свеча горела. На свечку дула из угла, и жар соблазна вздымал, как ангел, два крыла крестообразно. Мело весь месяц в феврале, и то и дело свеча горела на столе, свеча горела.
My apologies, I cut off Paul Lingo, who would like to speak before the poets.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Paul. I'm the director of the Brockton Public Library. And it is always my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the Brockton Public Library today. So welcome. It's fitting that I'm following a Russian poet because my wife is Russian, and she would have loved to have heard that. She's home making me shishlik, which is the Russian version of marinated pork roasted slowly over a fire and served with sour cream. So I'll be enjoying that tonight. This is one of my favorite events that Philip does because it shows how diverse Brockton is, for one thing, but also how diverse our country is. And to celebrate that diversity on the eve of a very interesting election, this is a very important day to be here, and I'm glad to be here. Philip, thank you for doing this. You're a great poet laureate for Brockton, and let's give Philip a hand. You've heard me talk enough. Let's get back to the poetry. Thank you.
Representing the Spanish voice, we have Juan Rodriguez, an educator and resident of Jamaica Plain, who was born in the highlands of the Peruvian Andes. He enjoys writing and expressing himself by the philosopher Charles Taylor, who stated that poetry and music heal the wounds of the hectic modern world. Welcome.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Today is el Día de los Muertos, tradicional celebración en Latinoamérica, remembering our ancestors. They told me that, they asked me to read some poems, and I was delighted because I see that Charles Taylor, a well-regarded Canadian philosopher, said that poetry and music will heal the wounds of the world, and that is very true for me. It's an honor for me to be in this reunion this afternoon among distinguished poets that I hope someday will receive the Nobel Prize or later. I would like to thank Philip and Jean-Denis for including me this afternoon to read a couple of my poems. I bet they are not the quality of yours. As you know, I am from Peru, the land of Cesar Vallejo, a profound poet, innovator of the 20th century, along with Pablo Neruda, both grand poets in Latin America. When I was younger, reading one of Vallejo's poems got engraved in my feelings what he said: hay golpes en la vida tan fuertes, yo no sé. Golpes como el odio de Dios, como si ante ello la resaca de todos los sufridos se posara en el alma, yo no sé. Ese poema me inspiró a mí para escribir another one que dice: cuando el dolor del alma te arrebata, cuando el sueño del corazón se estremece en pesadilla, cuando todo tiembla y se derrumba, buscando con las manos los ojos sin lograr entender ni palpar. Cuando el íntimo sentimiento se avinagra, ¿qué hacer? Sin saber qué hacer. Cuando todos los sonidos ajenos y propios se inundan, ¿qué hacer? Cuando el absoluto del silencio te arruga las neuronas, cuando todo interior llora y llora, rompiendo las barreras del tiempo, cuando las agujas del compás humano se dislocan entre estrellas, cuando todo se hunde ante tus pies y no te deja resurgir. cuando te angustia de saber qué pensarán los otros de ti, qué hacer y qué decir. Cuando la mirada se planta fijamente en el espacio, qué hacer y qué decir. A cosmic flow of inexorable emotions imploding, qué hacer y no saber qué hacer. Thank you. One more this morning, looking myself in the mirror, I realized one more again, the time is flying very fast. And I knew that I was in the third planet of the sun for a quite long time. And made me write this very short piece cuando digo, cuando miro las grietas de mis manos, ellas me dicen lo mucho que he bregado por el pan de cada día. Gracias por haberme dado la fortaleza de caminar tanto y tanto, un lento caminar. Yes, one more thing to finish it. Given the circumstances that we are confronting through the world, especially this country, I wrote this one that says, mea culpa. With the eyes open, we don't see the tears of the children, the dust is blinding all. We don't hear their voices in the desert sea of troubles because of the thunderbolts. We don't feel the hunger in their empty stomachs because of our opulence. We don't take part of their affliction because of our affluence. They don't sleep, neither laying, neither down, neither standing up. They are missing their roof by the force of the explosion, bringing destruction, pain, and silence. Silence that we are not able to listen. To finish, I have this one. Pan nuestro que estás en los días, pero ausente en las mesas, esperanza de muchas bocas, hambre de mucha gente. Ajeno pan nuestro que no estás en los días, ni en las mesas, ni en las bocas, ni en las gentes. 1/4 of July, before I leave, I wrote this one. This is for you, America, who receive my old bones, my tired muscles, my dry tears, and my empty hopes. This is for you, America, for John, Martin Luther, James Weldon Johnson, for Jack Smith, for James Baldwin, for Joe Dole and Uncle Sam, for apple pie and motherhood, for all my brothers and sisters, brown, yellow, black, white, red, and blue. Thank you.
Wow. I think one of the things I love most about these poetry events is that you come in with a level of energy, but then when you get the music of the poetry, whether you understand every word or some of the words, I feel inspired. Up next, representing Greek, is Theodore Stratus.
That's right.
Okay, Theodore Stratus writes about everyday life, often framed by her Greek-American heritage. She is interested in the dual sense of belonging to isolation from community and family, and explores the themes of Xenitia. Xenitia.
That was good, yeah.
Xenitia. I spent 2 weeks in Greece and I'm trying.
Yeah, bravo.
Or otherness. The theme has deepened since her diagnosis of MS. A former engineer and technical writer, she is working on poems about transition and the influence of peace and place.
It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm a third-generation Greek-American. I'm the daughter of an American Marine, World War II, so I feel very American and Greek all the time. It's very interesting. And I often think about what it means to be American, especially during this election cycle, perhaps the past several election cycles. I wrote this poem about my father's side of the family. And I wrote this before I knew that Paylene was going to be here, because my father's side is from Asia Minor, and they left from what is now Istanbul. So we're talking about the period around World War I and a little after. Haley, we have a lot to discuss. I do love Istanbul so much. I'm going to read my poem. I wrote it in English this time, and I translated it to Greek, so that was a little more difficult going the other direction. So I'll read in Greek first and then in English. Kerasi. Gotta switch languages gears. Κατανέμω τα τελευταία κερασιά της εποχής. Κρατήστε τα κρυμμένα στο σιρτάρι λαχανικών του ψυγείου. Είναι από το Όρεγον, κόκκινο κρασί. Αϊθαλής μύσκη, μερικά σε μικρές συστάδες, σαν να ήταν απλώς μαδεμένοι από ένα φυλλώδες κλάδι. Μαζεμένα μαζί, σαν η οικογένεια προσφύγων από την Κερσιά. Η γιαγιά μου Ερμουρφία, η αδελφή της η Βασιλική, ο αδελφός Ηρακλής, ο άλλος αδελφός στρατολογήθηκε στον βουλγαρικό στράτο, όπου εξαφανίστηκε. Εμμάνουελ. Οι γονείς τους, Σοφία και Κωνσταντίνος Αθανασίου, έφυγαν από την Κωνσταντινούπολη και εδώ στην Αμερική απαρνήθηκαν την υπηκοητότητά τους του Σουλτάνου της Οθωμανικής Αυτοκρατορίας. Η γιαγιά μου παντρεύτηκε τον παππού μου, ο θείος Χέρκη, πήρε το επίθετο κερασίτης από την Κερασιά, τα κεράσια. Ρουφάω την σάρκα από κάθε πέτρα, μετράω κάθε κουκούτσι που βάζω στη λευκή χαρτοπετσέτα. Ένα για καθένα από αυτά τα κρατάω όλα. Kerasi, cherry. I dole out the last cherries of the season, keep them hidden in the vegetable drawer of the fridge. They are from Oregon, wine red, evergreen stemmed, some in mini clusters as if just plucked from a leafy branch. Clumped together like the families of refugees from Kerasya, my grandmother Emmorphia, her sister Vasiliki, brother Hercules, yep. The other brother conscripted to the Bulgarian army and never seen again, Emmanuel. Their parents, Sophia and Constantine Athanasiou. They left from Constantinople, and here in the States, renounced citizenship to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Yaya married Papu. Uncle Herky took the last name Kerasitis, from Kerasya, cherries. I suck flesh from each stone, count each pit I place on white paper towel, one for each of them. I hold them all. And then I would like to end with a short poem by the great Greek poet and Nobel laureate George Soukaris. His family also was from just outside of Smyrna, which is now Izmir, Turkey. And they ended up going to Athens. He was a diplomat and anchored a lot of his poetry in the ancient Greek and mythology and stories, but his poems are often filled with wandering and exile, a theme which deeply interests me, the contrast of belonging and not belonging, all of which I believe is a fundamental part of being an American. We are all from elsewhere, and now we are here together. So this is a stanza from George Ferry's poem Mythostorium, which means novel, and it's from the translation will be by Human Sharad. Λίγο ακόμα θα ειδούμε τις αμυγδαλιές να ανθίζουν, τα μάρμαρα να λάμπουν στον ήλιο, τη θάλασσα να κυματίζει, λίγο ακόμα να σηκωθούμε λίγο ψηλότερα. A little farther, we will see the almond trees blossoming, the marble gleaming in the sun, the sea breaking into waves. A little farther, let us rise a little higher. Thank you.
And representing the Haitian Creole Boys, Jean-Denis Joachim, poet, past Cambridge poet populist, poet in residence at First Church in Cambridge, director of City Night Reading Series, in residence of the Little Crepe Cafe in Cambridge. He has 3 published collections of poetry, Crossroads from 2013, Avec des Mots 2014, and Quarterly 2016. Welcome.
Merci en pile. Thank you very much. Merci. C'est un gros honneur pour moi pour me représenter Haïti, pour me représenter langue nous parler dans le pays d'Haïti, créole. It's such an honor for me to stand here before you to represent my land, Haiti, the place where I was born, and the language that we all speak over there. I know you might be confused hearing in the news about Haiti today. Authors will say whatever they want. They will say difficult things to put us down, to put the lands down, as many have tried in the past. But this will never happen. The land will stand. The language will be spoken. And it will be celebrated in places like here, where all the languages are represented in their beauty, in their music, through the arts of words. Haïti a toujours là, Haïti a toujours campé, Créole a toujours parlé. Thank you. Thank you for making Haiti part of you. Don't be fooled by whatever any presidential candidate have to say about Haiti. Don't waste your time. Focus instead on this country, on voting for what works for you, what works for unity, like here in this library. So, life is good. I'll read you 2 poems. One about peace in Haitian Creole, and that is also translated in English. The other one only in Haitian Creole. You will hear the music, you will feel it, and that's all I leave you. Perhaps next year, if I'm invited, I'll read you the translation. All right. Non pam c'est la paix. Non pam c'est la paix. I am peace. À la tête chargée, moi pas plus qu'un mot simple, inutile, sans force. M'a suivre avec tristesse tous actes sans importance, la peine, destruction. Puis pour la crainte, moi, c'est pour trop tard, pas barine, et puis une petite net. Rien pas qu'à faire pour ta faire la tête comprendre force la vérité. Yon bonne cité nom laissez amio y a râlé sans pièce la honte. La guerre tout partout. Dommage. Moi pas tout puissant pour éclairer tout le monde. Moi c'est gestion mot. À la remorque. L'humanité pas qu'à revaler. I am peace. So unfortunate, I am no more than a word, useless, impotent. I watch with sadness all the unnecessary pain and destruction. My ultimate fear is that we run out of time and all will be lost. Not much I can do to trigger a sense of truth into our mad world. Many say my name as they reach for their weapons, shameless, deceitful. War is all over. Why am I not powerful to bear light to all? I am just a name, or unfortunate mankind cannot see my light. I am peace. My name is peace. And this other poem has no title, but this is the condition of all of us from outer land when we are here in our first 10, 15, 5 years before we really get adjusted to this land here. Many often we start dreaming of the other place. And this poem I'm going to read is the voice just opened an old newspaper and saw a photograph, and that photograph triggers memories of the other place, and that's what it's about. So it's all in Creole. Si c'est haïtien ou ye, enjoy it, amusez-nous. If you're from other countries, you don't speak Creole, enjoy the melody and the music. Okay? Paste à mes poèmes. Moi passe yon bout de journée jodi a ak yon photo k'ap vire l'horloge moi. C'est nos ancien page journal la caille, moi ouais une belle femme pays. Et puis tout comme commencer tressaillir. Ça autant dire. Moi t'oublier si c'est à l'étranger moi t'a vivre. Moi oublier tout travail moi t'ai gen pour me faire pour journée. Moi j'ai imaginé tête moi sur un balcon soit Jérémie ou sinon Jacques Mel ou bien au Cap avec belle ti gengen ça. J'en ai bien posé dans photo à démel sur rocher. Figi mamzelle paraît relax sans aucune contrariété, aucun macratement ni mauvais coup. Ouais, c'est un monde qui était bien dormi et puis qui bien levé. Mamzelle a bien vécu dans le pays. Côté soleil a levé sans manque tous les jours, même dans la saison la pluie. Si tu as ça, c'est mon Jacques Mel, il faut que c'est à la vallée qui sorti. Côté qui va en pile fruits, mango, cerise, sapoti, ananas, cachiman. Il y a une femme comme ça, s'il y a marché dans la rue, il n'y a pas de petit temps de regarder qui sourit. Mamzelle compte tout ça niveau et il déjà connaît faut gagner sous lui quand même les li dans un canton. Si tu gagnes ça c'est mon Jérémie. Mamzelle levé dans pile poisson, pisquette ak tom toute qualité yam jaune, yam blanc, mason belle ak zaboka. Mamzelle dans une belle chemise blanc bien laguée sous lui. Pendant qu'on a imaginé toute forme colle, et puis tout dégrenger la calé lumière la vie, à calé lumière l'amour. Il y a quelqu'un qui est bien fait. Ou car ouais, c'est une grande femme qui déjà a toute ça de mériter. Moi, je approché tout doucement sous le balcon, bien doucement, pour me avancer tant que le monde qui marché dans la possession, les ouvrages dans l'hostie, dans la messe dimanche matin. Moi, moi-même qui campais tout bout en face belle si quelqu'un pour bien garder mamzelle, faire lumière dans le gel, bien éclairer pour arriver jour dans le fond de moi, envahir avec l'espoir. Une femme comme ça, ou déjà ouais, bien connaît ça y est l'amour. Il a offert un amour solide, une grosse expérience pour toute la vie. Regardez comme ça seulement, vous sentez une vibration qui fait vous sentez 10 000 hommes. Quelqu'un ça qui faut vivre là sous terre. Toute expérience paradis qui est écrite dans la Bible à toute l'autre Bolivie. Je vais serrer photo journal ça, je vais serrer page journal ça bien fond pour chaque fois. Mon vie au pays. Merci.
You're so
was beautiful. Next, representing the Turkish voice is Livia Pelin, Associate Professor of History and Government at Malapert Community College, a native of Istanbul and a historian of modern Europe and the Middle East, with an interest in the histories and relations between Jews, Christians, and Muslims in a global context. Her teaching and research interests lie in the broad fields of displacement, war, migration, human rights, and a comparative history of education, history of music, and film. Helen is working on a book on the German and Jewish artists and musicians who fled Nazi Germany to Turkey in the 1930s. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me today. I'm more of a newbie in writing poetry. I'm a historian and I write nonfiction. But I was writing fiction even when I was in my 20s, but I wasn't really understanding that this is what I want to do. But during the pandemic, I found out that I was really into it. I attended this workshop titled Healing by Writing. And as you pointed out, really, I think poetry and music, they are both healing. So in so many ways, it's healing. Today, I read you two poems which I wrote at different times in my life, each exploring different themes. One is when I was in my 20s, and I was editing it. Actually, I've been working on it, editing it, and when I went to London to learn English, the English language, I was staying with two girls, one from Slovakia and another from Argentina, and we became really close friends. And it was very different for me, getting to know people from different backgrounds, different nationalities. We went to a conference. It was a conference on feminism, and I was very excited to meet with other women in that conference. And it's reflecting on that. So I'm going to share it in Turkish first, and then in English. I translated it, by the way, so please bear with me. Çifte telli London'da. Elif 19 yaşında çifte telli yapıyor London'da. Elif'in annesi pek hoşlanmıyor ama Elif zıp zıp zıplıyor. Elif mutlu huzurlu ellerini açıyor. Kürdü Türk'ü Azerisi buluşuyor London'da. Elif popo sallıyor, tüm kadınlar coşuyor. Burası feminizm kongresi, gerisi erkek seferberliği. Elif salınıyor salonda, Balkanlardan sıcak hava uçuyor. İngiliz'i araba Danimarkalısı, tüm kadınlar coşuyor. Derdi hepsinin aynı, sadece renkleri farklı. Elif çifte telli yapıyor, kadınlar hep bir ağızdan haykırıyor. So now the English version, which could be better, by the way, because it's very difficult to translate. And it's siftetelli, it's the Greek dance and the rhythm, and I think it's one of the commonalities of, from the Balkans, and it's titled Siftetelli in London. Elif is 19 years old, dancing siftetelli in London. Elif's mother doesn't quite approve, but Elif jumps and hops and jumps. Elif is happy, peaceful, arms spread wide. Kurds, Turks, and Azerbaijanis all meeting in London. Elif shakes her hips. By the way, here the hip is actually, I was gonna say butt, but it's like popo in Turkish, and I think in Russian too. And so Elif shakes her popo. All the women are exhilarated. This is a feminist congress. The rest is men's mobilization. Elif sways in the hall. Warm air flows from the Balkans. English, Arab, Danish women. All the women are excited. Their troubles are all the same, only their colors different. Elif dances Siftatelli, the women cry out in one voice. The second one is another period in my life when I had my child, and I was living in the United States, and also I came to the States as a student. Then I became a citizen. I got naturalized, and I gave birth here in Chicago. And another fact about myself is that my grandmother raised me, and she was instrumental in my upbringing, and I really wanted to care for her when she was sick back in Istanbul, where I'm from. But unfortunately, I couldn't go there because I had to take care of my son, who was a toddler at the time, the baby. And it's titled "Forgive Me, Nene," "Forgive Me, Grandma." So I'm going to read it in Turkish first and in English then. Share it in English. Beni affet anneannem. Sana gelemedim anneannem. Beni affet olur mu? Burada Akdeniz'den uzakta benim bir bebeğim oldu. Çok istedim gelmek, sana bakmak. Senin bana baktığın gibi. Küçükken önceliğin hep bendim. Ben sana gelmeyi çok istedim anneannem. Gelemedim. Beni affet olur mu? Çocuğum doğdu, her şey farklı oldu. Ama hep yolladım resimleri sana. Gördün mü? Nasıl müthiş kerata. Hatırlıyorum anneannem o eski mutfağını, mis kokulu böreklerinin tadını. Talaş böreğiydi, hep açardın. Üzerine bal döküp ağzıma atardım. Bebeğime anlatıyorum hepsini. Balkonda oturup çay içmelerimizi. Sen fal bakardın hep bana. Derdin, gideceksin uzaklara. Geceleri uyuturdun beni, ninni söylerdin kulağıma. Şimdi aynı ninniyi söylüyorum, senin torunun olana. Her sabah telefonda yeni kelimelerini anlatıyorum. Anneanne dedi ilk kez dün. Keşke nene derken duysam. Bak nasıl büyüyor her gün. Tıpkı senin anlattığın gibi büyüdüğüm gün. Şimdi daha iyi anlıyorum o yorgun gözlerindeki sevgiyi. Mutfağımda senden öğrendiklerimi yapıyorum. Bebeğim kokuyor anne. Ne güzel diyor. Gözleri doluyor. Seni hatırlıyorum. Bu tatları ona da öğretiyorum. I don't know how that sounds. It's not Spanish or beautiful French or like Korean. I don't know. How does it sound? Is it harsh? Because I can't really understand how it sounds. Okay. English. The English, my translation, and I think I could have done a better job, but I had limited time. Okay, so forgive me for that. Forgive me, Nana. I couldn't come to you, Grandma. Could you forgive me? Here, far from the Mediterranean, I had a baby of my own. I wanted so much to come, to care for you, as you once cared for me. When I was little, I was always your priority. I wanted so much to come to you, but America is far, Grandma. Could you forgive me? My child was born. Everything changed. Roads became further, harder. But pictures I sent you, I know they helped you and you learned how to use computer to look at them. Did you see what a wonderful rascal he is? I remember, Grandma, your old kitchen, fragrant and warm. You let me play cooking, pretending, being afraid I would burn down the house. You wouldn't let me touch the oven. The taste of your burek still lingers in my nose. I tell my now child all about them. We used to sit on the balcony, sipping tea. You'd read my fortune in the coffee cups. You'll go far away, you said. How right you were after all. At night, you'd help me sleep, singing lullabies in my ear. Now I sing the same lullaby to your great-grandchild. I did that last night. Look how they grow each day, just as you described me growing. Oh, Grandma, you called me yesterday in my dream. I heard the song from your city of Istanbul, whose alleys of cobblestones and rooftops read, lives once led. Then I felt your arms hugging me, warm but strong. I left them behind back home. Yes, so these are my poems. I realized that you could also share poets from your, from your nation. I had Nazım Hikmet in mind. Perhaps I can share his poem, one of his poems, if we had enough time. Nazım Hikmet was born in the early 20th century in Salonika, actually, and his father served in the foreign service, and he was exposed to poetry at an early age. And he wrote in Turkish, and he was exiled almost all his life. He wrote political poems, so he was one of the famous international poets. So I'm going to read one of his poems titled On Living. Living is no laughing matter. You must live with great seriousness. Like a squirrel, for example. I mean, without looking for something beyond and above living, living must be your whole occupation. Living is no laughing matter. You must take it seriously. So much, so and to such a degree that, for example, your hands tied behind your back to the wall, or else in a laboratory, or in your white coat and safety glasses. You can die for people, even for people whose faces you've never seen, even though you know living is the most real, the most beautiful thing. You must take living so seriously that even at 70, for example, you'll plant olive trees. And not for your children either, but because although you fear death, you don't believe it. Because living, weighs heavier. Let's say you're seriously ill, need surgery, which is to say we might not get from the white table, even though it's impossible not to feel sad about going a little too soon. We'll still laugh at the jokes being told. We'll look out the window to see it's raining, or still wait anxiously for the latest newscast. Let's say we're at the front for something worth fighting, for, say, they're in the first offensive. On that very day, we might fall on our face dead. We'll know this with a curious anger, but we'll still worry ourselves to death about the outcome of the war, which could last years. Let's say we're in prison and close to 50, and we have 18 more years, say, before the iron doors will open. We'll still live with the outside, with its people and animals, struggle and wind. With the outside beyond the walls. However and wherever we are, we must live as if we will never die. This earth will grow cold, a star among stars. And one of the smallest, a gilded mote on blue velvet. This, our great earth. This earth will grow cold one day, not like a block of ice, or a dead cloud even, but like an empty walnut. It will roll along in pitch black space. You must grieve for this right now. You have to feel the sorrow now, for the world must be loved this much if you are going to say, I lived.
So up next, we have Bridgewater State University's West African Drum Ensemble. It's Hakutai, meaning laughing out loud in Senegal, West Africa. Hakutai performs traditional repertoire in West African countries of Guinea, Senegal, Mali, and Ivory Coast. Traditional rhythms used for various rituals and celebrations constitute the bodies of Hakutai's performing material.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for having us. This is our second time coming to this event, and we really enjoy it. It's been fantastic so far. I loved hearing the poems you guys have shared so far. Obviously, this is quite different, but it's kind of interesting that two of the presenters had mentioned music. as a part of healing as well, so we'll do the best we can to kind of match that energy and provide a little healing. So my name is Jeremy Bonchair. This is the group Hakatide. We're from Bridgewater State University. We're a class actually at the university that is open to join, so it's not a closed group. Many people that have joined, I would say most people that have joined this group have had no experience in the past. It's really been such a great experience to run this class over the many years that I've been there and see people come in with a little bit of drumming experience, get comfortable, and eventually be able to participate in something that I think is very joyous and I think brings joy to a lot of people. In fact, my daughter couldn't come today because I thought it would be rough for her to sit quietly in a chair for several hours and sing poetry. But she had mentioned, I think you're going to make many people happy today, which I thought was really cute for her to say. So thank you guys for coming, and we hope you guys enjoy. all so much. This is a close second. This is called Jole, and we played this several times. It's, I think for some of the students in the class, it's their favorite piece. We've actually changed it this year and added something pretty fun. I'm already tired, so I don't know how we're going to do this.
Here's mine gonna be, okay. Number 2.
Yes. All right, you guys. Let me know when you're ready. Ready. Flashback? Flashback?
Yeah.
All right. Yes. You guys ready?
Representing the Cantonese
Yeah.
is Christina Lu.
That was absolutely incredible. What an impossible act to follow. I'm here to bring the mood down. Thank you all so much for being here. I was struggling with actually what to read, but I think I'm going to read two short pieces. First in English, and then in my native Cantonese, and I'll read a longer poem in English. So, the first one is actually a translation of a translation. So this was after a Vietnamese poet named Huy Gang. The title of the poem is called Blue Dress. And like I said, it was my English translation, which I am now going to translate into Cantonese and then back into English. Blue dress, after Huy Gang. We move up, blurring mist lines. We step, the path slips from grass, from love. Youth is sorrow-saddened. We wait for apparitions to be swallowed by moon. Remember our birthing, a woman sways in blue. Remember silkworms feasting on mulberry leaves as river fills out throats. And now the Cantonese. Nam Je, Hai Yu Nam, Si San Huy Gang. What a yuk, sir. He nam. 唔睇到，我哋喐，我哋課，冇石，冇愛，我哋後生好 sad，我哋等啲鬼，個月亮散俾我哋，記得我哋條鄉，個越南，個女人，坐。顏色，記得啲藥，食藥，個河就我哋嗰個。This next piece is called I Stole That Ring Within Sight. It's semi-autobiographical, but I won't get too much into that. I stole that ring within sight. Rust glimmering under neon punk, under Canal Street's trash, its poverty for song, a sparrow, for distinction between rust or sun, dust or marrow. Mother bought her own ring some years before nights of glass shards, howling dogs, machine-gunned eyes, scent of MSG from father, a sham. Swimming together away from China, he held to her feet, hair, her bloated belly. She filled me with sea, tentacles alight, his heart pure ink, regret. Dawn, 7 years, then 10 years later, she threw small stars into their dingy abyss. Father caught the keys each time. I watched him enter, burn peanut oil, eat bitter melon. Wages in his pocket jingled to nothing. For years, she wanted pieces of diamond, chipped opal, jade, some emblem of the Gold Mountain promise, and not my father's waiter shirt, archetypal badge of surrender, a sigh. Where are my gold slippers, my throne, my heart, my sea? Mother chokes salt, begins to fetch. What color galaxy? He said, 好乾，喺 canal 街有垃圾，冇錢，冇清軍，冇雀仔。 太陽都唔睇到，又烏精冇骨。我父母買佢自己去年以前，啲婆睇到佢有鬼，啲眼有金。我爸爸好似啲灰鷹咁，佢乜嘢都唔信，佢臭好似 MSG。I don't know the Chinese for MSG. Maybe someone can tell me. 呃到佢哋偷渡喺大陸嚟，佢快啲攞住佢頭髮、佢腳、佢女人心，我成個河吸到，好似個雀仔咁，佢心好闊，乜嘢都唔見到。月亮星金7年，咁10年以前，我父母抌啲死心喺度好污糟嘅垃圾。我爸爸咧次攞咗個機，我睇到佢入嚟，啲油苦到乜嘢咁，佢又食苦瓜，佢啲錢都冇晒。係咁升心，乜嘢都冇。年佢想攞真金、高金、美國銀錢，唔係我父母，好邋遢嘅相。佢個樣好苦，佢乜嘢都唔睇到。佢話：哎呀，係咁啊！我啲金唔喺邊度啊？我係聖人嚟啊！我河喺邊度啊？我心喺邊度啊？我媽苦到佢唔睇到嘢，佢快啲走，快啲走。This last piece I wasn't initially going to read, but we are on the heels, the precipice of Election Day. So I'll simply entitle this poem For Liberty. And I'm reading it solely in English. For liberty. She stands, back to the billowing wind, the green isolated wreckage of a gift long rusted, pained by consumption in 1,000 centuries of rain. No great wind lifts her dress so that we may see the woman, the girl underneath the flesh, the green of the promise, the tired come, the hungry, in masses gray and forever. The land is divided into lines, state, brother, color, north and south, and sister and bloodlines, and the lines will continue to threaten until the cup will crack one day, until something more than blood will flow from the earth below. She stands on land that is half island, half haven. They will come because of streets which are gold, because of the burning fields of sugarcane and the burning buildings of genocide, fratricide. They will come from hunger and a thirst for something more ambiguous, something not, never to be found under a rusting steel skirt. Fairies circle like birds or prayers around her. When they come, they will renounce their homelands, their names, and the places of wandering long ago. The old streets melt away so soon, already. Now, they turn to face destinies as fragile as islands. The uncertain mooring rocks a lullaby. They are as unknowing as babies. The great green lady never smiles. Her glacial beauty is a mocking promise. And yet, we wait for the wind to blow her dress. We wait for her to reveal her secrets. All right, thank you very much.
Next is our Voice of the Youth, Sophia Mohammed, a student at New Heights Charter School. So, first off, good evening, everybody. As said before, I am a student of New Heights Charter, but I also run my own business. I write poetry on the side. I make children's books. I write my own music, and I am so honored to be here before you all, being able to hear the drums. And I like to write poetry and also share the poetry out loud that really has to deal with problems that we are facing today. So the first poem I read before is called The Last Text, which directs closely to what children now are facing within the community. I love you, Mama, is the last text I dread to send to my mother. However, I don't think I'll be able to say that when the time comes. Constant worry is something I've grown accustomed to. The constant worry is not what you think it is. The constant worry isn't deadlines, bus stops, or school lunch. Yet it has to do with the fear of never seeing anyone from my family ever again. I fear for my chained life in these so-called free streets and soil, burying that fear so I can learn something to pass a test that distracts me, that at some random moment, my sisters could die. I pray for them every minute of the day, but even now that's risky, as I cannot risk losing focus on school. School does not stop when your heart does. They always tell you to focus on your work, to focus on your studies, to focus. How can I focus on algebra when I'm already calculating the fastest route to get my ass out of school? They say to be focused, yet I am focused on what I need to do to ensure that I am safe, when that was supposed to be the last thing on my mind. I'll continue working, because Lord knows what will happen if you stop for even a second. But maybe we can also choose, if the day comes, to give our children the chance to send the last text. The last one is kind of a rush job, but it's called, I won't go into detail, but it's called I Pledge My Silence. Excuse me for being so bold, but where did we go wrong? As a child, I remember green grass summer days. I remember park trips. I remember... What do I remember? The main thing I remember is I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As these words surround these this unchained country, I always wondered, how much of this pledge is actually true? So let us say the American, free, unchained, and also very true, pledge of allegiance. I pledge my silence and slow loss of voice to the United States of America, and to the tragedy for which it stands, one nation under God, separated by backgrounds, with fear and injustice for all. This is not the vision I had when I envisioned the world my children will live in. Thank you.
Next voice is the elder voice of John Alderson. He is a community member. He is an author of 3 books of poetry: Conviction of the Heart, In Case of Emergency, Press 2021, Unnecessary Tattoo and Other Stains on the Stainless Steel Heart, and Broken Borders, published by Wasteland Press in 2012. He has published poems in literary journals, in print and online. He's one of the 3 mass poetry representatives in Bristol County and is co-host of For the Love of the Word on Eastern Cable Access Television. He lives most of his years in Taunton, Mass, and since 1995 he has resided in the Greek island of Hydra. Welcome.
Good afternoon. First, Philip, thank you for inviting me to participate in this event. I have 2 poems to read. The first one is about a group of men on a Greek island called Ydra. And this group is, while it may be unique to Ydra, it's not unique to the communities that we all live in, the towns and the cities. There are groups of people, men and women, who have spent their lives contributing to the place where they were born, grew up, and have lived all of their lives. And I chose this particular group of men because, as indicated in my introduction, I have spent part of each year since 1995, minus, of course, the pandemic years, living part of the year on the Greek island of Ydra. How that all came to pass is a long story for another time. So I will read you this poem, but I'd like you to keep in mind that this group of men, again, is representative of people we know. We may not socialize with them because they're older than we are, but they are the people that built where you're living now and have contributed to the way of life that we all have. This is called The Old Men of Ydra. The old men of Ydra sit on a cool marble curb along the cobblestone street near the statue of the revolutionary André Mullis, discussing the island's problems and how they would solve them if in charge. Some wear overalls stained with whitewash and putty from the lighter work they do now. The clothes of others smell of mullet and sea bass caught early in the day and then sold to impatient taverners. They all watch and laugh at the braying donkeys tethered along the harbor front a few yards away, waiting for the giddy riders sailing on the hourly ferries and hydrofoils from Poros, Spetsi, and Athens. The children will want 20-euro rides around the town, while their parents and the tourists will need the donkeys to carry their luggage to their homes and hotels, some high up the mountainside, towering above the town and its horseshoe harbor. The old men remember their own long-dead donkeys hauling the first refrigerators and washing machines up the uneven stone staircases and twisting concrete streets to the storied captain's mansions, once dying from time's decay and man's crumbling neglect. Those wizened, weather-beaten elders restored them with their hard, calloused, nimble fingers and bleeding palms that left scars running along and through their crooked leathered lifelines. They recall how they put the first telephone poles in the They recall how they put up the first telephone poles in the 1960s, connected the wires that small brown sparrows would sit on, and how one Canadian poet wrote a song about it. They live in small whitewashed houses with roofs of reddish-orange tile and large blue, red, or purple shutters far behind the town and its bustling port. They are venerated by their children and grandchildren for whom they built and rebuilt the island decade after decade with strength, sweat, and suffering. They are the unofficial mayors of their neighborhoods, where they know everyone and govern with a father's frail firmness and a grandfather's abiding generosity. The second poem I want to read, I wrote when I was 60. 60 is not old, so don't even think about it. But when you turn 60, you are at the foothills of old age. And in front of you, the mountain range 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, and for some of us, beyond that. But many of us, unfortunately, won't make all of that ascent. So when I was 60, I was preparing myself for old age. And this poem has a tone of arrogance. It has some black humor to it, but it has, in the end, a sense of optimism. Because the only thing that really matters is how you are willing to approach the old age that's approaching you. This is called waiting for old age. I've decided to embrace old age. Give it a big hug. Squeeze it tight. Break its back. Throw it in a mental hole I've dug. I do not want the ornate cane or the sturdy metal walker. I'll snap the first in half and acetylene torch the other. I've decided to embrace old age, give it a big hug, squeeze it tight, break its back, teach it not to be so smug. Maybe I'll hold its hand, lead it to the other, push it in, hike the heat, so impulsiveness may govern in the garden of my youth's desires, enabling them to grow, to fan their flames and fuel their fires, to illuminate the last rainbow. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, representing the French voice, we have Mario Maltevere, born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Mario was writing at an early age and published his first book of poetry during his senior year in high school. He is the author of 4 collections of poetry, all written in French. He is working on his first book in English, a collection of short stories. Many of his poems transpire the struggle of his country of origin to overcome years of violence and poverty. Welcome.
What a beautiful way to spend an afternoon. We have poetry, we have music. I'm going to read 2 poems. They're about love. And they were inspired to me by my wife. The first one is Cadeau de Dieu. Okay, I'm going to read the French version first and then the Greek version. Cadeau de Dieu. Comblé, je suis. De ton puits, j'ai bu le nectar des fruits mûrs. De ton jardin, j'ai cueilli des roses qui me flétrissent point. Dans tes pluies, j'ai couru tous les marathons. Dans tes yeux, je me noie pour m'unir à toi. Bruire de mes nuits bleues, compagne de mes randonnées, amie de mes jours tristes et secs, cavalière de mes traversées du désert, complice de mes contes de fées, actrice de mes scènes tragiques. Tu m'as comblé d'amour et de joie, toi que Dieu m'a donné, ma femme. Gift from God. I am fulfilled. From your well I have drawn the nectar of ripe fruits. From your garden I have picked roses that never wither. In your reins I have run all marathons. In your eyes I drown to unite with you. Ballerina of my blue nights, companion of my journeys, friend of my sad and dry days, rider of my desert crossings, accomplice of my fairy tales, actress of my tragic scenes. You have filled me with love and joy, you whom God has given me, my wife. Second poem is the agony of your absence, l'agonie de ton absence. La lune me regarde dans mon lit froid. Ses yeux mirobolants décantent les chants des âmes en peine. Les secondes de la nuit s'étirent comme des chattes languissantes. ne sait pas. Dehors, l'hiver étale son manteau. Les flocons de neige tapissent mon âme. Ma soucoupe volante tangue dans le néant de ton absence. La solitude, les bras ouverts, accapare ma force. Où es-tu, mon amour? Dans quelle contrée, le cœur serré, laisses-tu flotter ton être? Dans quelle allée tes pas fragiles déambulent? Sur quel banc du champ de Mars laisses-tu flâner tes pensées? L'autre jour, notre adieu à l'aéroport de Logan a mouillé nos joues de larmes brûlantes. Tes yeux chantaient les jérémiades des amours chancelantes. L'avion t'attendait dehors, tapis sur le tarmac, au coin de tes lèvres. Que chuchotais-tu? L'autre jour, pour une millième fois, le ciel t'a accueilli encore. Engouffré dans un cylindre volant, les aigles au loin saluaient ton passage. Les nuages flottaient vers toi, leurs mouchoirs d'empointe. Ce soir, sur le dos, dans notre chambre, le miroir fatigué de refléter ma silhouette se part du voile bleu de la nuit. Vers toi, je lance mon esprit pour te retrouver. Où es-tu, mon amour? Penses-tu à moi quand le chagrin t'agrippe? Pleures-tu un peu quand la solitude te tiraille? Ai-je encore une place au cœur? Now the English version. The agony of your absence. The moon looks at me in my cold bed. Its mesmerizing eyes decipher the songs of troubled souls. The seconds of the night stretch like languid cats. The clock drags its steps. Outside, winter spreads its cloak. Snowflakes blanket my soul. My flying saucer sways in the void of your absence. Solitude, with open arms, consumes my strength. Where are you, my love? What are you doing now without me? Do you think of me? Do you still love me amidst the sorrow of your absence? Do you see the imprint of my body on our bed? Do you hear my voice, even in the cacophony of your frustration? In which distant land, with a heavy heart, do you let your being wander? In which alley do your fragile steps stroll? On which bench in the Champ de Mars do you let your thoughts wander? The other day, our farewell at the Logan airport soaked our cheeks with burning tears. Your eyes sang the lament of unstable love. The plane was waiting for you outside, parked on the tarmac. On the corner of your lips, what did you whisper? The other day, for the thousandth time, the sky welcomed you again. Engulfed in a flying cylinder, the eagles in the distance saluted your passing. The clouds floated their sea salt handkerchiefs towards you. Tonight, lying on my back in our room, The tired mirror reflecting my silhouette is adorned with the blue veil of the night. Towards you, I throw my mind to find you again. Where are you, my love? Do you think of me when sorrow grips you? Do you shed a tear when solitude torments you? Do I still have a place in your heart? Thank you.
Thank you. Completely moved by all the emotions from every side and every angle of the music. I just want to thank again Paul Engel for giving us this space, Philip Soares, our Brockton's Poet Laureate, for organizing this event, and for everyone who has attended. Please join us in 2 weeks, on November 16th. We have Everyone Has a Voice, where Amy Woodward will be the feature, and Scott Nelson will be a student feature. Please join us. Thank you.